live. Welcome everyone to this week's edition of Fights Unwrapped. Today it'll be just my co-host Alec Carr joining me today, just because Dustin can't make it, and so can't Ethan. But that's okay. We got a jam-packed show for you guys. A lot of headlines to get through. But first, we're gonna talk about our sponsors real quick. Anybody that has any injury problems, sports injuries, back injuries, gym injuries, whatever it is, visit rxhemp.com. They have the best CBD products in the world. You can use the promo code rxhemp-usn and get 10% in your entire order right now. And anyone who's deciding to bet on this card, which is actually not a bad card, even though it is a little backwards, as me and Alec Carr we're talking about, you can go to mybookie.ag, use promo code USN100 for 100% sign-up bonus today. All right, like I said, we have a lot of headlines to talk about, so let's just get into it. So the rumor is MSG Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. It's going to be later on this year. That's the rumor right now. They're super close to signing a deal, apparently, according to, I think Ariel Helwani broke the news first. So I'm going to go to Alec Carr first, I guess, because he's my only co-host today. But what do you think about this matchup, Alec?
Well, before we get into it, I just want to say we're back to the OGs of the show. We're having an OG week. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fight I feel like that's long in the making. It's the fight that really, the matchup that makes the most sense in this division, to be honest with you. Right now, this fight makes sense. You have two guys, both have lost to the champion, both, no, Michael Chandler coming off of victory. So it is a really interesting fight. And I just want to say to all the people who are just trashing Chandler in this, saying that he's got no chance, Dustin Poirier, Dustin Poirier, Dustin Poirier. I want to say you're forgetting who Michael Chandler is. He gets such a bad rap in the UFC because he's only fought either current champs, former champs, and a top five contender at the time that he fought him in Dan Hooker. That's been his UFC, and one of those was an interim champ. One of them was an interim champ. So that's what he's done in the UFC. And yes, he's only won two of those bouts, but it is super impressive. And Dustin Poirier is really good. He is. He's really good. But I have been saying for a long time now, and it's probably driving you crazy, Monique. This man is overrated. He is overrated. These young guns coming up, Dustin Poirier made it clear in his actions that he wanted nothing to do with any of these young guys. He didn't want to fight Fiziev. He didn't want to fight Islam. He didn't want to fight any of these guys. And he used the classic, you know how you know when somebody's afraid to fight someone, Monique?
Yeah.
When they say, "Oh, they're not ready yet."
I know. Usman does that all the time. Usman does that all the time to Chimaev. So
yeah. So Dustin's just running and running and running, and I'll be honest with you, he's done it his whole career. Yeah, except for Conor McGregor. That being said, Conor McGregor, who we're going to talk about a little later, broke his leg in half, and I will stand by this point. When he stood up after being down, he did not look injured, even though he got pummeled by elbows, and he was throwing and connecting bombs. And it hurt. If you watch that fight as much as I have, it hurt Dustin Poirier. He was hurt at the end of that round before he broke his leg in half. And again, this is a really good matchup. I'm getting long-winded. Just don't discount Michael Chandler, because what Michael Chandler can do that he hasn't shown. I know he hasn't showed it off in the UFC, but he used to show it off in Bellator all the time. It's not like Justin Gaethje, who has this phantom wrestling we've never seen.
yeah.
Michael Chandler actually has high level wrestling, and he's the most, I would say, one of the most explosive fighters in this division. Poirier's got his hands full. He's really got his hands full in this fight.
Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of people, like you said, are talking about but Dustin Poirier winning this fight. I actually have Chandler winning this fight. Surprisingly, I don't count him out. I think he's explosive, like you said. I think he's gonna use his wrestling. I think Dustin Poirier is a little like like he's a little overrated right now in my opinion, just because like you said, he's running away from fights. He's always saying, these fighters aren't ready to face me, whatever. So, I don't count him out whatsoever. So I have Chandler winning that fight. So that's gonna be a really great fight coming up later this year. Speaking of Conor McGregor, like you mentioned, he just landed a new movie role against with Jake Gyllenhaal and a new movie called Roadhouse. So that's new moves coming up for Conor. Making moves again, making that money like he always is. This is not news for anybody, but this is really exciting. Got UFC fighters making their movie debuts, which is really cool. I think that's really cool, meshing those industries together. Alec, what do you think about Connor landing a movie role? You think he's gonna be a good actor? Are you excited? Are you gonna watch it?
He's he's gonna be a horrible actor. He's gonna be absolutely horrible. He'll be better than GSP was though. That's for sure.
That's true.
I mean that would be hard to not be better than GSP, who they had to cut his speaking lines because he couldn't deliver anything. So at first I was really interested in this because Roadhouse is a 1980s classic. It's Patrick Swayze. He's throwing roundhouse kicks and hitting people in the jaw, and it was great. Well, it was a terrible movie, but it's so much fun to watch. How bad it is. Then it's also Jake Gyllenhaal, who's one of my favorite actors. If you guys don't know this about me, I'm a huge movie guy. At one point owned over 1,000 different DVDs, and I'm a huge movie fan. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the best to do it. So it's interesting. It's an Amazon direct to Amazon movie, so we'll see what that means. But I will put this out. I don't even know if you saw this yet, Monique. Connor
Yeah.
from today. This does lend towards the MMA retirement. Conor McGregor said, "MMA, I'll never forget you," and then thanked the fans afterwards. I have been one begging for him to retire. I
Yeah.
don't want him to come back and try to fight title fights. He can't do it anymore, especially at 170 where he wants to fight. He stands no chance against Kazmat. Usman, Burns, like even Shavkat, like don't do that. At 155, those young guys, Fiziev versus an older Conor McGregor who's not as motivated. I'm picking Fiziev, to be honest with you. That guy's an absolute stud in striking. So I think he is going to retire. I think he is. I think he's realizing it. I don't think he hasn't given us an update on his leg in a while, which he was doing for a long time. He was giving everybody monthly updates, and he hasn't in a while. So I don't think it's healing correctly. And I don't want him to make the same mistake Anderson Silva did about trying to come back from that injury. It is incredibly hard. You can come back from that injury in any other sport, Monique. Any other sport out there, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, lacrosse, name a sport, you can come back from that injury. A compound fracture, no big. It's actually one of the easiest things to heal in any other sport. Fighting's different. Fighting's just different. You got a compound fracture, you got screws and stuff in your leg, and you're getting hit with leg kicks. It's not the same. You're throwing punches on that and using your momentum and your power from your legs. It's just not the same. It's not the same thing. So I really hope he retires, and this movie thing is really indicating that because I don't think he would sign on to a movie if he was in fight camp.
Yeah, no, I
or
agree.
or planning to be in fight camp soon.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna miss him because, like, he is Conor McGregor. He was, like, super iconic at one point. Obviously changed the game for MMA and UFC in general. So, like, obviously, I'm gonna miss that part of it. And he left a really good legacy. I think that definitely it's his time to go and move on to really cool, elusive projects just like this. Hopefully, he's a better actor than you predict, but you just never know, right? But we're gonna move on to a headline which kind of breaks my heart because I have to choose between two of my favorite flyweights. We got Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval. Oh my goodness, Alikar, I am gonna just push it on to you first because this breaks my heart because I love the both of them and this is gonna be fireworks. This matchup right here.
Yeah, I am so happy for this matchup, but I'm like you and torn at the same time because it is the perfect matchup. Two guys who are about to take over this division. Um, Brandon Royval, the fact that he's been training kickboxing for the past couple of months, I think for the past year, really, is really scary because he's long and lanky, and he's probably got the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the division. Not probably, let's just say he's got the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the division. The guy's an absolute monster down there. Askar Askarov is, he's more of that striker, so I'm worried about him. These are two tough fights in a row for Askar Askarov. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Hold on. So yeah, he pulled Kai Kara France, who shockingly beat him up the entire fight. I was not expecting that, and I don't think Askar was expecting that either, because he looked more shocked than anybody. And then like now he's pulling Brandon Royval. This is going to be really interesting. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but if Brandon Royval gets this to the ground, it's his fight. It's his fight to lose from there. It's just tough. I'm torn. I am torn. I wouldn't pick a winner now. Make me pick one when we get closer to the fight. But this is a great matchup. So as a fight fan, I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah, no, this is a great matchup. It's going to be hard for me to pick one, but I just think that Royval somehow gets it to the ground, as he pretty much always does in most of his fights, and that's why I think he's going to win. Askar Askarov, we thought at one point he was going to beat Kai Kara France, who unfortunately lost to Brandon Moreno. Kai Kara France didn't really do too much in that fight. Honestly, he had a few good hits here and there, but Moreno obviously hit him with that liver shot, and he went there. Yeah,
Oh my God, that was crazy! I've never seen a more direct hit to the liver kick than that one. That was insane.
That was pretty good. Definitely lost me a bit of money, but that's okay. Just because I was betting on Kai Kara France to win that one, but I am glad Moreno is there. You know what I didn't appreciate, which I'm gonna remove this banner because I'm gonna have to talk about this for a little bit. You know that with Davison Figueiredo coming into the ring, that was so WWE in my opinion. That was just me and my partner were watching and we're just this is so unnecessary. You're taking away from Brandon Moreno's moment of the interview, just one interim title. What did you think about that, Alec? I didn't really care for it, to be honest.
I didn't care for it either because it breaks every rule in MMA. But I will say this. I would be fucking pissed if I was Figgy right now. Two guys just fought for the interim fight. He's the champion. He is about to be healthy to fight again. And Dana White had two flyweights fight for the interim belt for no reason. No reason whatsoever. They could have waited. And the reason that Dana White did that is because he doesn't respect that division. Let's just be honest. He's threatened to cancel it several times. He's threatened to get rid of that division several times. And he just doesn't believe that the little guys can sell because they're not getting shocking knockouts. He's wrong. Those fights are some of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. Those guys, those 125ers throwing is some of the scariest, fastest hands and legs you will ever see in your life. It sells. It sells like crazy. And he does it with the bantamweight division too. He doesn't put those guys on main events as the main event. He just doesn't do it. And he's making mistakes because he needs to start marketing these divisions. The flyweight division, the bantamweight division, our good friend Ethan made us think about ranking all the divisions. Bantamweight division is one of the best divisions in the UFC. It's top 5 right now as far as talent goes. It's absolutely stacked. Flyweight's probably just outside of the top 5 because it is also absolutely stacked. So I just don't get that, and I can understand why Figgy's angry, and he wants to remind everybody who's the real fucking champ, because it's him. Because when he finally had a healthy fight camp, he beat up Moreno. Like, if we're being honest, the last time they fought, it was not close. So I understand it. It still breaks every rule of MMA. All the unspoken rules, the respect factor. That's why we love MMA, is because everybody's supposed to be respectful. Of course, go your fight and beat Conor McGregor and be an asshole, but in the octagon, respectful. That's one thing. One thing I've always respected about Conor. He is an asshole, a jerk, a dickhead, but he always touches gloves, no matter what. Have you ever noticed that? He always touches gloves. And then when he knocks the person out, he's the first person to, after he gets up, the first person to that person to give him a hug or congratulate them or tell them, it's all fake. Don't worry about it. Good job. Like, Conor McGregor always did that. This is not. So when Figgy steps in the octagon after Brandon Moreno's, it's just no. It's a no. It's a big no.
Yeah, for sure. I just have to bring that up because that literally pissed me off when that happened. So
I'm glad you did.
For sure. Speaking of fights that are gonna tear me apart, I am torn between Tracy Cortez and Amanda Ribas. I love the both of them so much. I think they're trying to skyrocket Cortez, just like Dustin said in the chats. Like, pretty much, this is going to be her biggest challenge. This is a step up from all her other opponents that are lower ranked before. And I honestly, it's hard for me to choose because Ribas was on a roll before, but then she had a few hiccups along the way, and she's trying to get back into it. Cortez, on a roll right now. Her matches haven't been the most exciting, but some of them have been. I think that the both of them are going to create a really good fight. It's really close for me to choose, but I think I have my heart set on Cortez just because she is my girl. I love Ribas too, but I've always been a Cortez fan ever since I knew she was gonna be in the UFC. Alec Carr, I know this is probably really close for you two to pick, but who do you think is gonna win if you were to pick a girl right now?
I would have to side with you. I'd have to pick Cortez. I listen. We both love. Everybody loves Amanda Ribas. She's really fun to watch. She's just got that lovable personality about her. But I will say this: I think she's been a little bit exposed. We all thought Amanda Ribas was skyrocketing to championship. And that loss to Shikagan really was telling. And then she pulls somebody like Tracy Cortez, who is. She's what, 10-1, 9-1, right?
Something like that, yeah.
She hasn't lost since her first pro fight. Like, I don't care who you are. If you haven't lost since your first pro fight, you're good. And this is somebody where the UFC. We were talking in the chats. When Ethan was asking about top divisions, he asked about the women's divisions, or any of them in the top 5, and I would love to say yes. I just don't think they're quite there yet because, if we're being honest, women's divisions in the UFC is still very new, and the talent just keeps getting better and better and better. And Tracy Cortez is part of that. This is when Ronda Rousey, as much as she spearheaded women's fighting in the UFC, she wouldn't stand a chance against any of these women. Not a chance. I loved watching Ronda Rousey's come up. I loved it. It was great. It was exciting. It was fun. It was empowering. It was so cool to watch. But she was the most one-dimensional fighter we've ever seen. And as soon as she fought a kickboxer, she literally got kicked in the head, in the neck. That's just this fight. It's just reminding me of the history of when the women's UFC division started and how much it's progressed over the years. Because Tracy Cortez is really, really fucking good and would make Ronda Rousey look like an absolute fool in the octagon, if we're being honest. So I'm picking Tracy because I do think she's that next level of women's fighter in the UFC and just the next level of fighter, because you're seeing all these men and women all these fighters coming from, they started in even before their preteens fighting, and then now they're just so much better than they ever were. And that's when I watch Cortez fight, that's what I think. I go, that's a fighter. That is a fighter who's fighting and has been fighting and a true professional. And it's just fun to watch.
For sure. I think Rivas got like my heart when she won against Mackenzie Dern. You know, that was the one win I remember like just noticing her right away. Except that like you said she got exposed. There's some holes in her game. You know, her losses pretty much made me rethink, oh, maybe there are better women contenders out there. Tracy Cortez, just how can you not love her story? You know, like she's had a couple people in her life pass away, including her brother, whose dream was to become a UFC fighter, and then all of a sudden she becomes the UFC fighter, which is like obviously meant to be. And I just think that her technique, she always gets better at every single fight, but this is definitely going to be her hardest fight. I think striking wise, I think she has the edge actually against Ribas, even though I always, you know, talk highly about Ribas. You know, Tracy's probably going to have to keep it standing up because if she tries to take it to the ground, not too sure how her ground game is. I know her wrestling's not that bad, but you know, just saying, jiu-jitsu wise, I don't know because I know Ribas has a jiu-jitsu game right there. So we'll see what happens.
Well, let's just say this about Cortez's ground game real quick. She trains with Henry Cejudo, so
That's true.
let's
That's
just
true.
let's just throw that out there. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, her defense is probably pretty good. But anyways, we gotta move on to our last headline before we talk about this UFC Vegas preview. Dan Hooker wants Tony Ferguson. My goodness, what a freaking call out. You know, we were talking about it in the chats. We think it's a really good fight. I honestly, you know, can't wait till the day that Tony Ferguson actually retires because I think it's pretty soon. But you know, it is what it is. What's it called? I think we have a comment new to your channel talking about Tracy Cortez and Amanda Ribas. Yes, we were. We were talking about how it's going to be a close fight. It's hard to choose between the both of them, but both me and Alec really think that Cortez is going to be the one that gets her hand raised at this fight. But moving on to the next headline, Dan Hooker versus Tony Ferguson. Do you think this is the fight that Tony Ferguson is going to retire after? Because I don't think he's going to win, personally. I think that you know his reign is pretty much almost over and stuff like that, if not over already. And you know it is what it is. I like this fight. I think Dan Hooker is gonna win. You know Dan Hooker is better. Even though a few years ago we think that Tony Ferguson, you know, was invincible, but you know there's all these holes in his game, and then he just got like messed up in the head for some reason, talking all this shit and not focusing on fighting and stuff like that. So Alec Carr, I'm gonna bring this over to you. Obviously, you know, what do you think about this fight, and who do you think is gonna win?
Well, I want to correct you. I never thought Tony Ferguson was all that. I've been a hater since day one, and
Okay.
I'm an admitted hater of Tony Ferguson. Anyway, I think this is the perfect call out. It's perfect for both of them because this is a guy that Tony Ferguson in his prime would have beaten Dan Hooker. This is, in my opinion, his last true chance to show he belongs in the UFC. That being said, we haven't seen Dan Hooker in a full fight camp in quite some time, Monique. And when Dan Hooker has a full fight camp, when he was the last time he had a full fight camp, he was top 5 in this division. So let's not get it twisted. Just because Dan Hooker says yes to any fight, always and ever, and will never not say yes to a fight. Doesn't matter if it's short notice. Doesn't matter if it's 48 hours before the fight. Dan Hooker will always say yes. So we haven't seen him have a full fight camp in a while. Dan Hooker with a full fight camp is terrifying. He's such a clean and crisp striker. He knows how to use his length, though he's not longer than Tony Ferguson. At least I don't think he is. But I think Tony Ferguson's washed. I think he's a shell of himself, and I never was a huge believer in him in the first place. So I think Dan Hooker easily takes this fight, but it is the perfect call out. It is the perfect fight. And Hooker is just, you know, I'm just excited to see him with a full fight camp in a division that he should be in. I was excited to see him step down. It didn't work out. Let's see him again like this.
Just gonna respond to some comments. David Banner, that fight between Tracy Cortez and Amanda Ribas is gonna be December 3rd, just to let you know. And actually, he actually doesn't like the fight between Hooker and Tony. It's fine. He has his own reasons, and I understand why. I would say I would be more concerned about Tony in this fight, but that's just me, talking about this fight. But we gotta move on to the UFC Vegas 59 preview, and this is a special one because we got some tough finale matches happening. Even though this season hasn't been the most memorable season, as many people have criticized. Pretty much we've talked on our chats, and pretty much we said the coaching was pretty much terrible, mostly from Pena's side, and even the contestants aren't.
She didn't coach. Monique, she didn't coach.
I
She
know.
didn't coach them. First of all, I want to thank David Banner, which is, I hope that's your real name, because that's hilarious. But also, thank you. We love our viewers and love when they comment. So please keep watching. Hopefully, you like what you're watching. Yeah, but the Pena didn't even coach Monique. She had her coaches there, and she would ask them what to do, and then she would go back to her fighters and just repeat verbatim what they said.
Yeah, I hear you. And basically he was saying how tough hasn't been the same since. I understand that. I kind of agree with that, but honestly Pena didn't coach. If you guys have watched the season.
And neither did Amanda Nunes. And he's absolutely right. The content was absolutely horrendous. And, you can't really blame the coaches, too, because the level of talent this season was horrible. It was just so bad. I don't know how they picked these people. I would argue, David, that last season, the season before this, was very good. Lots of talent in that season. Lots of good content. I don't know what went wrong with this one.
Yeah, okay, before we're getting into the preview, real quick, just because we have a few minutes, we finished a little early for the headlines. Okay, Alucard, what did you think about Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pan? Here's the thing. Okay, my thing is, I'm very glad that I was wrong about Pena winning because she was so sloppy throughout that fight. Me and my partner were watching the side, we were saying on the ground she was sloppy, she had nothing going there. Her striking was stupid because Amanda would counter with that beautiful right, and it just knocked her down.
How about that switch stance, Monique? How about that? Amanda Nunes freaking Pena out by switching her stance. Oh my God. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You keep talking. I have so much to say. I'm so glad we have time to talk about this. Go ahead, keep going.
It's okay. So basically, I heard a rumor, according to MMA Junkie, that Dana might actually want to see the trilogy between Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko. He think it might be time to do that, which we've been saying for the longest time. Do this fight. It's the fight to make because both these women have no prospects. Even though Valentina Shevchenko kind of got exposed with Talia Santos, we always talked about that before. I think that Amanda looks really good. A lot of people were questioning after her weight cut if she was gonna be healthy or not, and look what just happened. She looks better than ever. Obviously, Juliana Pena again was really sloppy, I think, in her technique, which made it obviously really easy for Amanda to do what she does best. And that fight was just total domination. Pena actually had part of her forehead missing after that fight. It was quite bloody. If anyone didn't see that happen, it was just right here on her forehead. Yeah, beautiful elbows, especially the ground and pound was really good by Amanda Nunes. Did you have anything else to say about the fight, Alec, before we move on to the preview?
I just tried telling everybody that would listen to me that Amanda Nunes is just 10 classes above Pena. She just is. And, I've just said it every time we talked about that fight. I said it over and over and over again. I wanted to see her get knocked out too. I really did. I agree. But I'm gonna get to it, David. Trust me, I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. It's just it's crazy, crazy, crazy. I tried telling everybody. Monique, I'll give you credit. You listened to me. Amanda Nunes came into that first fight smelling her own shit for the first time. She really did. She was believing the hype. She was like, "Oh yeah, I'm the greatest. Here's another opponent that's not nearly as good as me. I don't have to really try." She was also injured. This is what people don't talk about. She also missed half of the fight camp with an injury and COVID. And she set out to prove to everybody how good and that she was still the best women's fighter of all time. And boy, Monique, did she ever prove it. She came out after. I was watching the fight going, why didn't she just finish her there? That hook where she literally made Pena go vertical with, she could have pounced and finished, but she didn't. And I was watching it going, why is she not finishing? Why she's not, I don't understand. Why, like, she could finish her. She could have finished her there. She locked in that rear naked. Why didn't she just let go? Why'd she let go? Why'd she let go of that submission? She was intentionally destroying her on every part of the game. She was doing it on purpose. She was proving a point, and she left herself open. She did get damaged because she could have finished her and didn't. And of course, that leads to danger where she did get hit, and Pena can hit fucking hard. That's the one thing I learned. She's got hands because she didn't hit Nunes that much, and she didn't hit her that clean that often. But Nunes was beat up after that fight off the few times she did hit her. Amanda Nunes is just, I mean, she was, people were saying that Pena is the better grappler and she's the better striker if she gets on the inside. And Nunes just was like, no, she's not. No, she's not. She's just not. And she went back to her old fight camp and she showed everybody exactly who the fuck Amanda Nunes is. I hope the Shevchenko fight happens. I've been calling for it because it's the only two. They're the only competition towards each other. We will say Talia Santos has some stuff to learn. I do think she will be champion one day. But that being said, Amanda Nunes is just a league above everybody else. She just is, and she proved it against Pena by deciding not to finish the fight. I have never seen it so intentional in my life, Monique, where she intentionally did not finish the fight. She could have, by my count, she could have finished the fight 4 times and decided not to every single time. She had 2 submissions locked in. And I'll say this, Dino Cormier's got to get kicked out of the fucking box. He's got to be gone. Like he was, when Pena had that arm the one time and Daniel was freaking out going, it's locked in. It wasn't even close to locked in.
No.
It wasn't even close. She was standing on her side. You can't lock in that submission when your opponent's on your side. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day is talking about DC and his horrible commentating. I love Amanda Nunes. She's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I know I say that way too much, but I actually mean it here. I've been Team Amanda since day one. She's just Pena. There's no reason for a trilogy. There's no reason.
No, for sure. And it was funny because when me and my partner were watching, and he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so when he saw those submissions from Pena, he's like, there's no way, there's nothing there. She didn't have anything. The angle was so off. Like, she was, like, literally hanging in a weird position. And, like, we were just analyzing it. And we're like, oh, yeah. First of all, we think that Joe Rogan was, like, high off his mind. Did you guys see his eyes, like, just, like, light up? He was, like, on a few things, I swear. And then DC, again, like you said, should probably get off the fucking...
Yeah. They kept saying, both of them kept saying, you don't want to stay in Pena's guard. Well, Amanda's wasn't afraid of it. Like Nunes kept trying to do the same thing and kept trying to pull her legs up, and Amanda was just like, I'm just gonna keep throwing bows. You try to do that, but I don't care, and I'm gonna literally take a chunk of your flesh, not your skin, your literal flesh out of your forehead.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyways, we could talk about this match pretty much all day, but we gotta move on to the UFC 59 preview. Like I said, there are some tough finale matches happening. So we're gonna start with the first one, which is a little weird because on Google, apparently Lipski has no opponent, but she apparently has an opponent. She always had an opponent. Her name is Priscilla Cacciora, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm pretty sure that was the closest I can ever get to it. So, okay, I am a fan of the Queen of Violence. I've always have been. I think that she was on a roll for a little bit, then she got exposed. Now she's coming back and trying her best to, get back on a winning streak, which she is. And I think she probably is the better fighter in this one, even though Priscilla is really, really strong. Lipski is technically better in my opinion. So I'm gonna move on to Alec Carr. Who do you think's gonna win this women's flyweight bout?
So yeah, for those who don't know, Priscilla is the one that famously got the amazing rear naked chokehold against. Well, I should say it like this: Valentino Shevchenko's chokehold, rear naked chokehold that we've seen over and over and over again in Shevchenko's highlight. That's Priscilla. That's the famous rear naked Shevchenko rear naked chokehold. Um, so yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying Priscilla's not good, but Lipski I've been a fan of too. I think she's just a better talent than Priscilla, and I think she comes away with the victory on this one.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, we're gonna change gears up, and now we're gonna talk about the men's heavyweight fight. We have Augustus Sakai versus Sergei Spivak. Not too excited for this one. Just like Alucard said, Brian Battle's on this fucking undercard. He should be in the main card for this fight night, honestly. But
Yeah, I'll take this moment if you don't mind to do
yeah,
my undercard callouts,
yeah,
which I really and thoroughly enjoy doing because there are a lot of fighters people should be aware of on undercards that they aren't. But there is one Terrence McKinney versus Eric Gonzalez, and an amazing fight that's going to be more fun to watch than almost all the other fights on this card is Brian Battle versus Takashi Soto. I have no idea why that is not on the main card of the Tough Championship. He's a tough champion, and he's an absolute beast about to take over and could make a title run in two divisions. Anyway, we'll talk about. I guess I'll talk about Augustus Sakai and Sergei Spivak. Augustus Sakai is a big disappointment in the UFC. Which is supposed to be way better than he was, and Sergei Spivak is the guy that beat Greg Hardy last.
okay.
I don't give a shit about this fight. So just to be honest with you, just going off of it, I do think I've never been a believer. Well, that's not true. I did like Sakai when he first came out, and then I actually watched him and saw that he had zero gas tank. So I will say Sergei Spivak is probably just the better overall fighter, and he gets this victory. The jury's still out on Spivak if he's actually going to do anything in the UFC. I will say that Augustus Sakai is just. I mean, he's lost how many in a row now? Are we talking 1, 2, 3? He's got 3 losses in a row. He just can't beat that next level talent. He just can't because he gets out so quickly. So I got Spivak winning this fight.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Never was a fan of Sakai, to be honest with you. And then obviously, he's on that losing streak, which is not helping whatsoever. But we're gonna move on to one of the tough bouts happening. The women's flyweight division. We got Brogan Walker versus Juliana Miller. I was watching a little bit of the season. I honestly am not a fan of Miller. I wasn't. I for some reason didn't think that she was too impressive. Brogan is probably gonna take this one. I think she's a little stronger as well. Technically wise, she might just have the edge. Like we both said, the talent wasn't the greatest this season, but that's pretty much what I have happening. What do you think, Alikar? Who do you think's gonna win?
This one's tough to call. I will say Juliana Miller is. If this fight goes to the ground, she's winning. Just
Yeah.
period. She's winning this fight, and I think that's her goal. Monique and I don't often disagree, which sometimes, if we're being honest, can make for kind of boring shows. But I'm gonna disagree with you on this one. I think Juliana Miller is the better fighter. I think she is one of the few fighters that impressed me. But I mean, she didn't. I don't think she's about to make a title run. Don't get it twisted. I still think the lack of talent of the season was pretty apparent, except for the next fight we'll talk about. The one of the fighters who actually looked extremely good. But yeah, it's just hard to judge this fight though because the level of talent was so bad that I don't really know. Juliana Miller I think, looked the best out of all the women the entire season. But we will see, I guess. But I'm picking her in this fight.
Fair enough, fair enough. So speaking of the other tough bout that's happening, it's the men's heavyweight bout between Mohammed Usman. That's right, you got it. You heard the last name. That's his brother right there versus Zach Puga. And here's the thing: I was a fan of Zach the entire time. Like when I was watching the season, I thought he was incredible. I always thought his talent was there. I don't really like Usman's brother in terms of like his talent. There's so much disparity between the both of them, in my opinion. There's a lot of criticism in the chats about Muhammad Usman and how he just hasn't measured up. So I think Zach was always going to be in the finals since the beginning, and I think he's probably going to win. I think Usman just, I don't know, he didn't impress me the entire season. I'm not gonna lie.
He lost his last fight. If we're being honest, he lost his last fight. Eduardo Perez did enough in that in the. I mean, even Dana White thought he won. So it's just a shame. The judging was absolutely horrible all season. Two or three people were robbed of victories. The whole season was just bad. And Muhammad Usman's not good. He's just not a good fighter. He's not a good striker. He's got zero ground game. He is just he's not tall, but he's big. Like he's bulky, but he's not tall enough to be a successful heavyweight in this division. And Zach Palga is a fucking monster. Like he's so good. Like he was so much better. What's up from Indonesia? What's up, dude? But Palga was so much better than everybody else. The talent disparity was so clear. Palga has the talent. You watch him fight, you watch his technique, you watch him strike, you watch his ground game. This guy, he can do it everywhere, and he has a real chance to quickly break into that top 10 and then compete for top 5. I don't know if he's a championship level. Heavyweight we were talking about top 5 divisions. Heavyweight's definitely in there right now. Heavyweight division's the best it's ever been in UFC history. And it's about to get better because Palga's about to be in it. Because this is my, like, you used to have a lock bet all the time. Fuck betting. This is my lock of the fucking night. This is like Palga's winning this fight. Usman doesn't stand a chance. He's a bad striker. He constantly puts his head down and doesn't like when you strike. You're supposed to put your chin down, but you're supposed to look where you're striking. Usman's striking like this, like he's putting his whole head down and not even looking. Palga's gonna counter him. He's just such a. I know Palga's kind of a fat guy, but he's so quick, so fast. He doesn't gas out. And he lands punches in scary ways. I mean, when he beat Jordan Heiderman, in the second round, that was just like, oh shit, he's that much better. He's that much better than these people. Again, Jordan Heiderman, one of the ones that didn't deserve the one victory he did have. That being said, Zach Palga, he's going to be in the top 10 probably sooner than a year from now, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that. Speaking of things we probably might, I don't know if we're going to agree on this. We probably will, though. It's the welterweight bout between Vicente Luque and Jeff Neal, which I'm actually looking forward to. I love me some Luque. I've always been a big fan of his. Neal hasn't impressed me too much. I think he had a one loss. He was coming off a loss or something like that recently. I think was it Thompson, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I'm not too sure if it was that, but
He lost to Neal Magny last, and then beat Santiago Ponzinibbio.
that's right, right. That's right. I knew he was coming off a loss. I think Luque. Here's the thing. I've always been a big fan of his. I think he looks really good. After each fight, I think he's probably gonna win against Neal. Neal's just like a little bit inconsistent for me. I think his technique is good, but I don't think he has the chance to win this fight just because Luque, just once he explodes on you, like he'll go after you and he'll win this fight, in my opinion. What do you think, Alec? Who do you think's gonna win this welterweight bout?
I think you're right. We are going to agree. I'm not the biggest Vicente Luque fan, but that's because he beat my boy Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But I pride myself on not being biased. So even though I don't like Vicente Luque that much, I do think he's better than Jeff Neal. He's coming off the loss to Bilal Muhammad, which I think we all thought he was going to win. But you know what impresses me the most about Vicente Luque? The darts choke against Michael Chiesa. That was extremely impressive. Not something I thought he could do, even because Chiesa is an absolute monster on the ground, and I thought Vicente Luque was going to lose that fight because I thought Chiesa was like, all right, I'm just going to take down and ride you and just make another boring Chiesa fight. It's not what happened, clearly. So I will give Vicente Luque credit. He's not just a strong right hand like I thought he was. Um, I think I think he beats Jeff Neal, and I think he beats him pretty easily. I think we're probably going to see a knockout here because even though I'm not a big fan of Jeff Neal. I would say I like him though. I don't not like him. I just think Vicente Luque is better. I think Vicente Luque is, I think he should be in the top five if it weren't for Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, Kazmat Chimaev, Gilbert Burns, and Bilal Muhammad. Vicente Luque would be in the top five. He's just got five better fighters than him because those are some great, great welterweights, even though Colby Covington is an overrated bum. But that's a different topic for a different day. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think Vicente Luque gets him out of there in the second round.
All right, we are going to switch gears and talk about a main event that I'm not looking forward to. You know, the reason why I'm not looking forward to this is because Thiago Santos hasn't been impressing me that much, and that's our boy right there. Okay, it's a light heavyweight bout between Thiago Mereta Santos versus Jamal Hill. Now, Dustin actually made a point, our co-host that's not here today, he made a point. He's like, why is Jamal Hill headlining a fight night when he just lost to Paul Craig? So, obviously we can talk about Paul Craig and how his loss is also, very recent and also very tragic for us to watch. But we're going to talk about this fight right here. Here's the thing. Santos should have won his other matches before. Obviously he's lost to a few really great fighters. I think he lost to Magomed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that was a given. Like, all of us agreed on that. But I feel like Santos should have won his other matches. The old Santos, I feel like, would have beat Jamal Hill. But now, I don't know what's going to happen because after his legs were pretty much torn from him in that injury, Santos hasn't looked the same. And he's riding off a lot of losses right now. I think it's like 2 or 3 in a row right now, and it's not looking good for him. Hill's coming off a loss, obviously, but it's to Paul Craig, and no, he's coming off a win.
Yeah, after Paul Craig, he beat Jimmy Crute and Johnny Walker.
Oh, Jimmy Crute. Okay, and yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I just remember him losing to Paul Craig. But anyways, point is that I don't know what's happening in this fight. I'm gonna say Hill just because Santos doesn't look as good as he does before. He's getting opportunities here and there, but for some reason he can't get it done. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if his striking is just the problem again, or it's something about his legs. Alikar, save me from this misery. Who do you think's gonna win this bout?
Jamal Hill's going to win this bout. And I do have something to say about the Paul Craig fight. I think I had to go back and watch it because I didn't remember what happened, and I think everybody needs to go back and watch it. Jamal Hill made a clear mistake that got him caught. He
Yeah.
made a clear mistake, and I'll be honest, you do sports has a lot of luck in it. And Paul Craig got pretty lucky in that fight that Jamal Hill made that mistake. Jamal Hill was on a fast rise, and then he got made that mistake and lost to Paul Craig, and now he's resuming his rise. Jamal Hill is a really, really good fighter. Do you remember that whole Vince St. Preux fight where the standing TKO in the second round
Oh
was
yeah.
fucking absolutely insane? Jamal Hill is a monster. He's a monster. He's a true light heavyweight, and I'm so glad because this division is getting back. We have Yuri Prochazka. We have, Glover Teixeira is somehow still a thing. You have Magomed. Like this division is finally getting back to where not to where it used to be because it probably will never be back. John Jones era and pre that. Thiago Santos, the reason why he can't do anything that he used to anymore is because he came back too early from his knee injury because he's an absolute. And listen, Anthony Smith, I'm sorry, he doesn't deserve the nickname Lionheart anymore because there are just so many more people who have more heart than him, and Thiago Santos is one of them. He tore every major tendon in his knee and continued to fight the most terrifying fighter the UFC has ever seen in John Jones. Then he turned around, came back way too early, wasn't even able to train ground game yet, wasn't cleared to train on the ground, signed a waiver to do his fight, and came back and fought Glover Teixeira. He should have never done that. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. He should have healed and came back. Because he didn't, I believe now, and it's very realistic, so it's not just some pie in the sky idea that I have. I believe Santos has permanently damaged that knee and has compromised his power, and he's a power striker. And he doesn't have great ground game, even though he has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But if you have a permanently damaged knee, guess what? Also, you can't do anymore. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It's a lot of legs. Wrestling is a lot of legs too, but it's a lot of leaning, a lot of using your body weight, a lot of that. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is a lot of moving on the ground, a lot of transitions, a lot of fighting from the bottom, a lot of using your legs to lock in submissions, and you can't do that if you have a permanently damaged knee. So I hate to say this because you know how much I love him, and our longtime listeners know how much both of us love him. He's got to retire. He's just got to retire. And Jamal Hill, I think, is going to knock him out. I do. I think this is going to get really ugly. Jamal Hill has that "I'll graze your chin and you'll go to sleep" power. He does. He just does. And I think this is going to be really ugly because I don't think Santos has that power anymore. And I think everybody in the UFC knows it. We did see him beat Johnny Walker, but that's because Johnny Walker is a fraud. He's just, all athlete, no skill. So, but I'm sorry. Thiago Santos loses this, and I think I don't want to say embarrassing because it's hard to embarrass unless you're doing what Amanda Nunes did to his fucking mania on Saturday. It's really hard to embarrass another fighter, but I think this is going to be a really harsh loss for him, and I think he might consider taking the gloves off after this fight. I really hope he does because if he has that damaged knee, and listen, he's a great coach. We both know he's a great coach. I
Yeah.
think he needs to focus on coaching. Is what he needs to do.
Yeah, he should focus on coaching his wife or
Yeah,
fiance, Yana. She's been having a few good fights here and there, and obviously she's coming back from her recent pregnancy and birth giving duties. So, I think you're right. I think he should concentrate on that. It sucks because like we both love him so much, but it sucks that he had that injury because he wasn't the same after that. You're totally right about the knee. I remember when I had my knee injury, I had to lay off BJJ for at least 2 months until it got healed up, and I didn't have as bad of an injury, obviously, as Thiago Santos. So I can't imagine how that could be. But it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it'd be great to see him win one fight. I don't think he will though, but it'll be great to see him win against Jamal Hill because that'd be quite a shocker. But basically, guys, that's it. What we have for this week. But next week we have actually a pretty decent card. We have Marlon Vera versus Dominic Cruz. Not the best main event. Not gonna say the best main event, but there are a few great fighters. We got Devin Clark. We got this fighter. I can't pronounce his name, but I fucking love him. Zach
Azaman Mazrukanov.
I love that man. Okay, I love watching him fight. Cynthia Calvillo is back. Nina Nunes is also back. Bruno Silva is back, and obviously we got um Gerald Mercerat. I always call him by his nickname, so that's why I blanked out for a second.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Yeah, I know, right? But Bruno Silva, I love Bruno Silva, so that's why I'm actually pretty stoked for this card. It's not a bad card whatsoever. Let's see if there's any people in the prelims that are Angela Hill, Lupita Godinez, which got obviously added, and a few other ones that were pretty good. So it's not a bad card, but we will see you guys next week. Hopefully by that time Dustin will be back. And Alucard, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say the Cheeto Vera proved me wrong, so I'm excited to watch him fight every time he's on a card now. So I think that main event is going to be awesome because Cheeto's going to knock the fuck out of Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
Hopefully knock him out so bad. And I'm joking. This is in jest. I would never say this in serious. Hopefully knock him out so bad we never have to hear his voice in the booth ever again.
I know, right? Just like take off DC and take off the other DC, which is Dominic Cruz, right? From the commenting booth, for sure.
Yeah, Paul Felder, Joe Rogan. That's it. That's all we need. We don't need anybody else.
That's true. And then obviously we have our beautiful female reporters that are also really amazing. So we should keep them as well. But that's it for this week, guys. Me and Alec will see you all next week, hopefully with Dustin and Ethan back next week. And we will see you all next week. Happy fight.